The Santa Maria advanced under a warm, steady wind, carrying not just 40 men, but the weight of every mile behind them. Each new day brought signs, small, uncertain, but powerful enough to toy with the fragile minds aboard. And it was at the edge of this tension that the most dramatic night of the entire voyage unfolded. The day began quietly, but soon the ocean offered unexpected clues. A large piece of Muscovite wood drifting beside the ship, a brightly colored fish swimming near the hull, a warm breeze carrying a faint, sweet smell, something no sailor had ever felt in mid-ocean. Juan de la Cosa examined the floating wood and said, "This did not come from far. Land is near." The sentence raced across the deck. Some cried with relief, some whispered prayers, but the most exhausted men trembled, torn between hope and fear. Near at sea is a dangerous word. The mutiny, which had quieted for a short time, surged back to life. One man shouted, "If land is nearby, then we can turn back safely." Another added, "We don't need to go any farther." A third spat out, "He tricked us, there is nothing ahead." Columbus, tense but composed, answered, "If we turn now, you will lose the reward, the glory, and the purpose of this voyage." But the men were not thinking of gold, they were thinking of survival. Pinzon then stepped forward, calm but firm. "If we must die, we will die going forward, never running back." Somehow his resolve held them together. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, the water began to glow. Tiny blue sparks shimmered beneath the surface, following the ship like drifting stars, bioluminescence, natural and harmless. But to the men of 1492, the sea is on fire. This is a sign, the ocean is showing us the way, or warning us. Superstition and wonder clashed in their minds. Night approached, heavy and uncertain. Then it happened. The moment that nearly broke the expedition, the moon hung behind thin clouds, the sea was calm. The Santa Maria glided slowly westward, and suddenly from the bowland, I saw land. The scream erupted like a cannon blast. The deck exploded in movement. Men ran, shouted, laughed, cried. For the first time in weeks they tasted hope like fire. Columbus rushed forward. "Where? Show me." "There. I swear. A dark shape. I saw it." But there was a problem. No one else saw anything. The horizon was empty. The darkness unbroken. Only shadows that could be clouds. Or imagination, the man insisted. "I saw it. By God, I saw land." But the human mind, crushed by fear and exhaustion, sees miracles where none exist. Minutes passed, no land appeared. The excitement quickly twisted into something darker. He lied, he saw nothing. "We are doomed. There is no land." Columbus tried. The cry was premature, but the signs remained strong. No one listened. Tomas de Leon, the same sailor who had tried to jump into the sea weeks earlier, began laughing uncontrollably. A hollow, broken laugh. One sailor whispered, "He has lost his mind." Another said, "We will all break soon." Morale plummeted. While the crew panicked, Columbus kept watching the horizon. He noticed something subtle. The wind had changed. Warmer, heavier, carrying moisture, the kind blown from large masses of land. The watercolor also shifted slightly. "Shallower, greener," he murmured to de la Cosa. "We are close. Closer than they know." De la Cosa, exhausted, replied, "Then let it come soon." The sailor who had shouted land collapsed. His body convulsed. He mumbled incoherently, eyes unfocused. Juan de la Cosa examined him. Exhaustion, dehydration. He is delirious, but others believed he was seeing visions, or being punished or guided. Reality had lost its place. Then came the moment that nearly ended everything. A small group of sailors approached Columbus, not timidly, not whispering, but with determination. Their spokesman said, "If we do not see land at sunrise, we will turn the ship around ourselves." This was mutiny, clear, direct. Pinzon immediately stepped between the men and the admiral. His voice was cold as iron. "Try to turn this ship, and I will throw you into the sea myself." Silence, tense, dangerous. The men retreated, but the threat remained. Columbus knew, if dawn came with nothing on the horizon, the voyage would end in violence. The night grew calmer. Then, just before the darkest moment of the night, the wind shifted again from the west-southwest. A land wind. De la Cosa lifted his head and frowned. "This is no open sea wind." Columbus nodded. He felt it too. They were close. Minutes before dawn, a flock of large, dark birds flew over the ship. Not ocean birds, not species that lived far from land. They flew fast, purposefully, directly west. The deck erupted. "Land. They are flying home. Where birds go, land waits." This time, no one doubted. Hope surged so strongly that even the exhausted seemed reborn. Columbus wrote in the dim light, "We have never been this near." The night had been brutal, but it was ending. And somewhere behind the horizon, hidden in the last veil of darkness, land was waiting. The moment that would change the world was only hours away. The minutes before sunrise felt endless. The crew stood scattered across the deck like statues, their faces pale, their bodies trembling from exhaustion and anticipation. They were men suspended between two worlds, the last moments of the unknown, and the first breath of something that might finally be real. Every heartbeat echoed on the silent deck. The horizon, still barely visible, was the center of every hope and every fear. They were close, so close that the ocean seemed to hold its breath with them. And then, the final stretch of night began to break. The air thickened as the last darkness clung stubbornly to the horizon. A faint blue tint crept across the sky, slowly pushing away the night. But for the exhausted sailors, the light wasn't coming fast enough. Some whispered prayers, others muttered curses, most simply stared ahead, afraid to blink. Columbus kept pacing like a caged animal. Pinzon kept scanning the crew, ready to confront any final spark of rebellion. Della Cosa stood at the rail, eyes sharp, searching every flicker in the distant gloom. The Santa Maria creaked softly, as if burdened by the weight of what was about to happen. At approximately 4:30 a.m., something subtle changed beneath them. The ocean's movement felt different, less deep, less heavy. The kind of motion sailors know from waters that border land. A few men noticed it and stiffened. Did you feel that? The sea changed. This is not open water. Columbus felt it too, a small but undeniable sign, and it confirmed every suspicion he had carried silently through the earlier chaos. He whispered, "The ocean is telling us something." Moments later, a new gust of wind blew across the deck. Warm, humid, full of life, but most importantly it carried the unmistakable scent of vegetation, stronger than before. So strong that it seemed impossible not to see land. The reaction was immediate. Some men sobbed openly. Others pressed their faces into their hands. Several fell to their knees as if the scent itself were a holy revelation. One young sailor whispered, "I have never smelled land before, but I know this is it." For the first time in days, hope outweighed fear. But hope, for men on the edge of madness, was dangerous.
The scent emboldened them, but also sharpened their impatience. A small group walked directly toward Columbus. No hesitation, no fear. Their leader spoke. "If the sun rises and we do not see land, we will turn the ship ourselves." This wasn't a whisper. This wasn't a rumor. This was a mutiny born in the open air. Pinzon stepped forward faster than anyone expected, his voice sharp as steel. "Try it, and you will feed the sea before sunrise." The men stared back, and then stepped away. The mutiny hadn't died. It had only been postponed by the fragile thread of hope. If dawn did not reveal land, that thread would snap. Time crawled. The horizon faded from black to deep blue. The first true hints of dawn appeared. The crew stood motionless, eyes burning, hands trembling, hearts pounding as if bracing for judgment, because that's what dawn was, a verdict. Either the voyage was justified, or it was the greatest mistake in the history of navigation.
As the sun climbed closer to the edge of the world, the faintest shapes began to emerge from the darkness. Not clearly, not enough to claim anything, but enough to ignite the deck. "Something is there. I see it. Look, look." Men crowded the rails, pushing each other, desperate, but the truth was still uncertain. The shapes might have been clouds, or tricks of the light, or the exhaustion of men who wanted to believe. Columbus gripped the rail so tightly his knuckles turned white. Della Cosa whispered, "Not yet, give it a moment." Then it happened. The edge of the sun finally broke the horizon, sending a golden beam across the waves. Light spilled outward, chasing the shadows away. Every sailor leaned forward, breathless, every eye fixed on the distant dim line. The world seemed to pause, and as the light grew stronger, the line on the horizon darkened, thickened, solidified, until it became unmistakable, a shape, a mass, a form no cloud could hold. Then a single voice broke the silence. "Land," followed by another land. Then the entire crew erupted. Terror. "Land, land ho!" Some cried, some fell to their knees, some embraced whoever stood near them. Columbus closed his eyes, absorbing the moment. Pinzon exhaled for the first time in hours. Della Cosa smiled, faintly but sincerely. The fear of weeks dissolved instantly into a rush of disbelief and joy. As the sun climbed higher, the silhouette grew clearer. Trees, a coastline, rising land. Real. Unforgettable. The Santa Maria which had carried fear, madness, silence, and hope, now carried a new word, truth. The discovery they had dreamed of or feared was finally real. The men shouted, cried, laughed, prayed. Colombo wrote only one line. At last the signs were true. The night of terror had ended. and a new world was waiting beyond the horizon.